Today, we'll be determining the approximate measures of angles in degrees to the nearest whole number using a protractor. We will use a protractor to determine the angle in degrees. Here, we have our protractor, our tool used to measure angles. We have two rays that meet at an intersecting point. This intersecting point is called the vertex. When using our protractor, we must make sure that the center of the protractor is on the vertex, where the two rays intersect. Once the center of the protractor is on the vertex of the two rays, we will be able to determine the angle. Making sure that our bottom ray is in line with the 0 mark of the protractor, we will count up to the second ray. So we have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Our angle is 80 degrees. We will again use a protractor to determine the angle in degrees. Here we see that our protractor has the vertex at its center mark, and that one of our rays is lined with our protractor. We'll start counting from the 0 mark until we get to the second ray. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Not only did we count up from the 0 mark, but also looking at our angle, we can tell that it's an acute angle. And when you have an acute angle, you know that it's going to be less than 90 degrees. To further ensure that we would not accidentally mark the 110. If it was 110, it would be an obtuse angle. And we can see by looking at our angle that it is less than 90 degrees, that the opening is smaller than a right angle. Now we will use the protractor to determine the new angle in degrees. Here we have our center mark of our protractor is at the vertex of our angle. We have the bottom ray lined up with our protractor, and then we'll count up from 0 to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 degrees. We also know that it's 120 degrees and not 60 degrees because looking at our angle, we can tell it's an obtuse angle. And obtuse angles are larger than 90 degrees. Since the opening is larger than the opening of a right angle, we also know that this is an obtuse angle, further ensuring that our angle is 120 degrees. Now we'll use a protractor to determine the new angle in degrees. We see that our vertex is at the center mark of our protractor, that one of our rays is lined up with the bottom line at the 0 mark of the protractor, and then we can count up to our second ray. We also can look at our angle and see that it's an obtuse angle. So our measurement in degrees should be larger than 90 degrees. We're going to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. The measure of our angle is 140 degrees. We know that it's not 40 degrees because 40 degrees would be an acute angle. And we can tell by looking at our angle that it is an obtuse angle.